Hello and welcome to the CEP, the Campaign for an English Parliament. Today we're going to be discussing St George. Most nations adopt a patron saint, and the English are no different. They have St George. You'd have doubtless heard every time the subject for St George's Day comes up, people commenting on the validity of celebrating it. St George isn't even English, most people say derisively, completely misunderstanding the point and the purpose of a patron saint. And it's just yet another thinly veiled attempt to deny anything that could potentially galvanise the English people, if only for a day. God forbid that the English should come together as one in a showing of affection for the people and country they all call home. And so today I feel a little background is in order. Let's look at our closest neighbours. St Patrick wasn't Irish. He was born somewhere in Roman Britain to Romano-British parents. And St Andrew wasn't Scottish. He was in fact born in Israel. But no one brings this up year after year as if it invalidates what those days stand for. In the same vein, of course, the three lions on the England football shirt are not only not lions, but leopards. And of course, England is not home to either. But it doesn't matter. It's the symbolism that counts. In this case, courage and ferocity. And this goes for the patron saints as well. It's what they stand for that counts, and this is why countries take them on as symbols, as patrons. So who was St George and how did he become England's patron saint? There are many theories about St George, and his legend certainly is far too much to discuss in this video, but I'd like to give you a brief outline. The most widely accepted story is that St George was a high-ranking Roman officer who became a Christian and was put to death by Emperor Diocletian when he would not deny his faith. Some claim he was from Turkey, others say he was from Palestine. It doesn't really matter where he was from, as most of the stories about him are fictitious anyway. What matters is that he's a symbol of courage in adversity. Patrick and Andrew were not chosen as the saints of Ireland and Scotland because they were born there, but because the temper of the saint matched the temper of the Irish and the Scottish people. And so it is with St George, who was made England's patron saint by Edward III in about 1350, at the height of the 100 Years' War, when England needed a courageous warrior saint to match the warlike nature of the English people. Before St George was made our patron, our national saint was St Edmund, King of East Anglia, who was canonised after he was martyred by the Vikings. But the English did not want a martyr, they wanted a warrior, and in St George they found him. St George's battles with the dragon is told in several stories, which are of course just legend, but these stories don't have to be true to be inspiring. Like all great legends, they are stories of courage and duty and self-sacrifice. All qualities that are inspiring and valued in a nation. The dragon is allegorical, of course, and has been seen as a depiction of the devil or as the persecutor of innocence. As a protector of the innocents, George was very much invoked by the Templar Knights as they took on the role of protectors of pilgrims, and he was used by them to inspire acts of valour. It's highly probable that Edward III wanted to tap into this highly emotive warrior as an inspirational figure in his fight for the French crown. Above all, George is a saint that inspires courage and fidelity, and that is why the English took him to heart and have stayed faithful to him throughout the centuries. Despite all the ideologues and politicians who dismiss us and think we are crass if we fly his flag, to them we are nothing more than boneheaded xenophobes whose stupidity can be exploited for taxes and votes. Such arrogant people will never understand our allegiance to the flag of our nation, because they themselves have no love for it. Their allegiance is to their ideology and tribalism alone. We hope that you will join with us in celebrating these qualities of strength and courage, ferociousness in battle, and duty to our people that St George's Day represents, showing our commitment to this land we love in veneration of our past and hope for the future. And join with us to kick off our campaign to make St George's Day a national holiday in England. And now I'd like to pass you over to the immortal bard, who I feel summons the spirit of the thing better than I ever could. Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard favoured rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect, now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war proof, fathers that like so many Alexanders have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonour not your mothers, now attest that those whom you'd called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war, and you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slip, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England, and St. George!